shake that off, and we'll make sure that the tip is dried. Maybe I want to crank you up a bit. Let's do it. Woo! It's so bright, I can't even think. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Zach Does It. My name's Zach, and if you're new to the channel, we are in the middle of a complete teardown of my 1991 Mazda Miata. Its interior, to be more specific, and I encourage you to check out some of the links below in the description. You'll be up to speed in no time with where we are, and hopefully you'll be just as excited as I am about some of the future steps in the process. In today's episode, we are going to be picking up where we left off in the last one, prepping metal for paint. And today we are going to be finishing that process. And I, future Zach, I have a hunch that by the end of this episode, we will be halfway done with this entire process. Now, don't get me wrong, we still have so much to do. We have mechanical checks. We have to reassemble everything we've taken apart so far. We have to recap the entire process. We have to run down my budget, the costs and expenses that I incurred, how long it took for me to do all of this work, and ultimately whether or not I'm satisfied with the results. Were the changes that I made worth it or not? But all of that is to come in future episodes. But for today, we are focused on the metal. So let's get to priming and painting and getting on with preventing future rust inside the Miata. So a pro tip, if you ever have to spray paint when it's less than the recommended temperature, for example, this primer says it should be at least 50 degrees out. It's currently somewhere in the 40s, so it's not quite 50, but it's still too cold for what they recommend. If you ever have to do that, let the paint sit in a bucket of hot water for 10-15 minutes. That way the paint has time to warm up and you don't have to worry about it coming out all chunky and clumpy. It'll come out a little bit smoother. Don't forget to shake it though. You still have to shake it, but keeping it in a bucket of warm water will help make sure that the paint all comes out in a nice even flow. And we're done with the first coat. You may notice that it's a little splotchy, it doesn't look super consistent, and that's okay. We're gonna be putting multiple coats on. We're gonna put at least 2 coats of this on, that way we've got a good solid foundation. And then we'll probably do 2 or maybe 3 coats of the black. So don't worry if you don't get every single bit. In fact, it's actually better if you don't overdo it. You know, if you get a run early on, especially in the first coat, you really just have to wipe it off and start all over again. Otherwise that run is gonna show through, or it may cause other problems down the road. So take your time, light coats. If you have to do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 extra coats just because you didn't get it on the first time, that's totally cool. It's always better to take your time, especially with paint. Okay, so we've let everything sit for a few minutes, and we're ready for round 2 of the paint. Whew. Now, obviously, we don't want all that water in there, so I'll just shake that off. And we'll make sure that the tip is dry because we don't want to spray water onto our painted surface. And just like that, everything is primed and ready to go. So we're gonna let these sit overnight. There's really no need to do anything except bring them in, but I'm gonna bring them in once they've had a chance to dry to the touch. I don't wanna do that now, otherwise they're just gonna scratch each other up really bad. So once these have a chance to dry and the primer is a little bit harder, then we'll bring these inside. That way they can dry inside where it's much warmer and we don't have to worry about how cold it is. And then tomorrow when the sun comes up, hopefully it won't be windy, and we'll be able to get the paint on. I'd say this is turning out pretty good. Oh, ooh, man, that's low. Maybe I want to crank you up a bit. I may be short, but I'm not that short. Okay, maybe I am. Okay, it's a new day. It's still just as bright as it was last time, although this time I am, in fact, winking at you, so there's that. Today we have, on the side, you might be able to see it, the pre-painted, the primed metal that we worked on last time. We've got that hanging up so we can get the black paint on it, but in my hurry to get things done, well, I forgot about a lot of metal. So we've got things like the mounting plate or bracket for the bumper. We've got things for the soft top and the rain catch. We've got individual pieces that actually came out of the mechanism that puts the seat back, forward and back. So I didn't think there was going to be a ton of rust or even metal in a lot of those parts that wasn't painted, but it turns out that there is. So we're going to take care of that as well. I've got some bolts, you know, why not? We're already going to be painting stuff, so let's do it. And then finally, we've got the hood latch. And it was weird. I didn't think that they were actually this bent, but then I looked at how it fits around the air intake, and, well, I guess it has to be. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get some things painted in black. We're going to get some non-painted things painted with primer. And I'm going to wink at you a few more times, and hopefully we'll be done painting by the end of today. So let's jump in. Woo! It's so bright, I can't even think. Well, that about does it. All of the metal pieces, the cover panels, the plates, the miscellaneous metal trim pieces, and attachment points, they've all been cleaned and primed and painted and are now ready for reinstallation and reassembly back into Mama. But before we do that, I think we are overdue for a status update. It's been a while since we've talked about objectives, since we talked about the process and what we're doing on this series. So in the next episode, we're going to take a look at what we've done so far, what it's cost so far, as well as what we can look forward to in the next few episodes. And stay tuned. I have a few big surprises that are going to be major quality of life improvements for the ride quality. It's not brakes and suspension. We're not ready for that yet, but these upgrades are going to be huge and I can't wait to share them with you. So stay tuned for that. But for now, this has been another episode of Zach Does It, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.